morning, and welcome to this morning's Wuxing, Long Pai, Taijiquan, Qigong, and Baguazhang class. My name is Jeff Cote, and I am the Occidental Taoist. So this morning, we're going to explore a couple of basic palm movements. These come from Baguazhang. They're very useful. They express particular arrangements of yin and yang, and it can eventually be of value to explore that yourself, like in each position, in each movement through position. What changes, what yin and yang energies and qualities change in the different yin and yang areas of the body. Yin, lower body, yang, upper body. Yin, inside, yang, outside. Yin channels versus yang channels. Yin, deep interior chi with 3 dantians, the organ chi, the central channel versus yang, the meridian, superficial chi. And in fact, the feeling of how your action and motion itself as part of it changes, meaning what gets projected outward, what the internal feeling is. And that is an important part of all of this practice. One of the things we're trying to always become aware of is the result of what the internal changes we produce are. And we want to eventually learn to move from this orienting point. We're really reorienting the way our mind interacts with our body and the way it handles signaling to create activity. Okay? We train it consciously with the mind intent by paying attention to things like yin and yang and learning to feel what is yin versus what is yang in any part of the body and in the body as a whole. And as we transition from position to position, movement to movement, we begin to notice what that arrangement is and what gives rise to solid stability when it's arranged. And so we have to move into a solid stability and then feel what the natural positions are, what's yin and what's yang in those positions. Let me give you an example of that before we even begin learning it. So when I'm in my Zhuang stance, and I even just move up into Wuji. The Wuji position is a neutral position. We've got internal and external are in a balanced transition all the way out. There's no set intention other than uprightness and receptivity. It's the basic yin and yang position. The arms have added some yang element because this is very yin for the arms since they're in the yang part of the body. Okay. If I shift and turn, like to say the first dragon or pearl position, then we begin to notice this leg is more yin than this one. And it's always referenced. Here's the thing. When we're talking about Tai Chi or Bagua or any of these Taoist concepts, yin and yang are never separate. They're always in relationship. So when we're in a position, we begin to feel the relationships. This yin versus that yang, or this leg versus this leg, and which one is more yin. And how does the yin and yang relate? What's the connection? Is there continuity between them? And we need to, like alignment-wise and intention-wise, create continuity so that we're aligned with the basic structure and the energies inherently present. Yang and yin qualities. So we align ourselves within the best posture possible. Okay? I know, that was one of those typically Taoist statements. My apologies, sometimes I don't know how to say it any other way. So we're going to begin from our Wuji posture. And we want to pay attention to all of this while we do our warm-ups, while we do our expanding sweep. So we begin sunken down into the legs. Take a deep breath in. Expand. And notice what's yin and what's yang through this process. Same. And exhale and release. Now we're going to internalize it a little bit and begin with this sense of condensing as we remember. We've got that Jing draw, the whole lower Dantian gathers. Teasing. Exhale, we release that. Then we're going to bounce. Just bounce first. No counter swing. And then counter swing. counter console. All right. So I mentioned wanting to talk about heaven palm and earth palm, or at least some of the palm positions and palm energies. This is an important element of the fusion of Baguazhang and Taijiquan and Wuxing system. All of that said, it is a Qigong and a way of understanding sort of an elemental expression or a primal expression of movement that we can emulate. These are concepts. These are ways of moving and ways of generating force and energy and power, internally and externally. Okay? We can relate with them by these basic positions, these basic qualities, these basic Bagua. Okay? So we're going to start with this idea of heaven palm. Now, the basic heaven palm position has this quality. We spiral force through the right and left channels, gently outward, so we get that downward pressure and extension and expansion. Spirals up into the low back. And then the arms spiral out in the same way. So everything is sort of spiraling out from the center line, out and around, which brings it up, and then out and around, which brings it up. Now, if you play with this ever so slight rotation in these right and left channels, and you let it carry into the shoulders and the arms, and then learn to just pause there for a moment, and then feel it, relax, try to get stability. Tailbone down, spine long. Right? And then learn to do it by doing less, but still being very strong in the posture. There's a sense of upward expansion, but there's also a little bit of receptivity, because we always want to be able to root whatever we encounter and neutralize it. The Baihui is strongly extended, the palms are strongly extended, the fingers have the dragon claw. Then, to transition into the yin version, this is the yang version of the heaven palm. We're going to get a sense of kind of grasping the air with that dragon claw and drawing in and down. You're going to notice everything will spiral in and back down. And then expand. Looks like I lost signal for a second. Just came back. Sounds like a little bit of thunder and inclination of possible rain. So I may have to make a hasty retreat inside. We'll see. So from here, we've got this spiral down through the legs, spiral down through the arms, Bai Hui is still extended up. And we feel what is yin and what is yang. And again, balanced. Stability, receptivity with expansion and extension. Again, dragon claw, but this shouldn't be just a pushing down. It should be a feeling like, because there's the receptivity component, you're feeling like a dragon digging its claws into the ground and pulling it, like it's pulling it up. So you've got this sense of down and extension, but there's an upward pull because it's heaven palm. And that's that. It's a resultant of the press. This is all about this up and down force and the yin and yang relationship between it, fully expressed. And everything draws in again, up and out. Where you are. Yeah. There's that pull. 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 Feel those dynamic changes. Let yourself have a little bit of a dragon spine here. So from the side. The head moves really back and forth with that spiral movement around each side, serpentine action of the spine. Again, with the arms way out here. The arms don't have to come all the way down. And relax down. And forward. That's the heaven palm. Earth palm exercise has some similar qualities, um, except that it's round. The rotation is still being maintained. That's right and left channel changes, it's right and left channel rotations, as well as the spiral force that we're using, but the result and how we're aiming that result is different. Instead of the center line energy, this up and down, it's more like this. Even if I change the position to here, it's still the roundedness. Okay? So we start in our Zhenduang, most basic one, is rotating in and around, and rotating out. Now notice as I come out, the arms turn out and back. My intention is in the spherical sort of intention, that pung energy that we have on board off that expansive sphere and the receptive sphere energy that is associated with the basic movements of Tai Chi. This is that same energy. It's very earth. course, the yin and yang exchange. This is the yin, so everything's rounded in and sunken. There's still expansive quality here. There's still, the verticality cannot be ignored or gone. So this borrows from heaven power. And you'll find that if you really examine heaven power, it also borrows from earth power. Now, one of the things people often don't understand about Bagua is they think of each of these things as a something. The heaven palm is a something. The heaven energy is a something. And it isn't. The only thing it is it's a quality of change. Right? It is an energy and a quality of a type of change. Even Earth, which is probably the most solid part of it. I mean, mountains too, but it borrows a lot from this. How this translates, we can also go this way. And of course, Earth relates to the heaven and Earth energy because they're the two sides of the same pole. And we can also, aside from, like, instead of sinking here, right, instead of rotating in, when the hands rotate in, rotate out, when the hands rotate out, we can do its opposite. We can, as we rotate in, we can rotate out in the upper. And as we rotate in the lower, rotate. Okay. I just reversed that. Sorry. As we rotate out in the lower, we rotate out in the lower, we rotate in the upper. We rotate in the lower, out. Takes a little focus, but it's worth doing. Right now, we're just working with mechanics. But the more natural is then in and in. And in. And so obviously, this is an introduction. This is a little bit of experimenting, and it takes some working out. It takes some thinking about it, learning to create these mechanisms, right? Mechanical. And then you have to get past the mechanisms. You have to make the mechanisms of these actions so sort of automatic that you don't have to think about them, and then you can start feeling the quality of the change. Because we always want to get to the place where we're going beyond just the simple mechanics, and we're starting to feel the qualities, the virtues of the movement. In that classic Tao Te Ching, the Tao Te means the way and its power and its virtue. Its virtue, it's the old meaning of virtue. If you read old classical texts on herbalism, each herb had its virtue, and the virtue was kind of an expression of its inner nature. And this is what we're trying to get at, the inner nature of these movements. When we can identify them and feel them in a visceral, real way and watch them come into being, then we can help manifest them more powerfully by aligning our body action and and our balance of yin and yang to them. Okay. Hands, wrists, and fingers. Let's do the rest of the body loosening. Other way. Elbows. Other way. Shoulders. And the other way. Notice here, I've got my elbows like I'm trying to rotate the shoulders so that the elbows are almost touching in front. This pulls the shoulder blades down, opens up the trapezius, and then when I do the patting, I can keep those shoulder blades down, and I start to move the chest more open, stretching all the way from the midpoint of the chest through the entire pectoral, including the pectoralis minor, because the scapula is moving back and across. So it's really stretching what's underneath the major pectoral, which will absolutely help with this tendency that people can have of collapsing here as these muscles get short. So it will help open this up, open up the lung, as it shares a common point with the origin of the lung meridian as it emerges from deep in the body, from the lung, actually to the surface of the body. Next, we've got trunk twists from the center. I'm hoping it's not as dark as it looks like to me for you guys. At least the video. So the sky is just dark. There's little rumblings here and there. So I'm still hoping I don't get rained on or struck by lightning. Unless doing so will convey some kind of mystical power to me. Then I could be struck by lightning, and I would probably, once I recovered, probably be thankful for it. Maybe. I shouldn't say such things. Tempt fate. Patting the waist and the hips. Waist rotations. Other way. Bring your awareness down to the ball and socket joints of your hips. Widen your feet. Shift to one side. Pull that ball and socket joint open a little bit and rotate the hip. side. Both of them together. Alternating. Other way. One hip. Other way. Foot and ankle. Other way. Brushing the grass. Right. Other way. Up. Side. Cross behind. Central equilibrium. Stretching all the way down to the sacrum. Tailbone. Just check it out on the other side. Ankle and hip. Other way. Foot and ankle. Brushing the grass.